I apologize. 3 minutes late. I was hanging out with our friend William Hart on the phone. Well, sort of on the phone. Facebook Messenger. I guess that is sort of like a phone. It's phone-like. I hope that everyone is having a good day. It's Friday. You got a weekend ahead of you guys. I seldom think of weekends one way or the other. Just a different day. I do the same stuff. I do the same stuff on Saturday. Pardon me 1 second. Gotta wipe off my glasses. I do the same stuff on Saturday as I do on Wednesday. Which sounds pretty awful to some people. However, right now, I absolutely love my life. I love the routines. I love the rituals. I love the fact that I get to do the same stuff every day. The reason why I do the same stuff every day, twofold. Because I can and because I love it. If I didn't love it, I would do something else. I'd do something different. So, I got our friend, the Burpee Reaper, the legendary, the great Burpee Reaper, who's about to embark on the epic Spartan journey. I fully expect to see a video at the end of the race where he pounds his chest and he yells Sparta. If you don't see that, man, I can't tell you how disappointed I'm going to be. I got to bring up my desktop real quick so I can read the screen. I was looking at training. I was looking at the events. Some things are going to be hard to train for specifically. However, do you have any kind of chinning bar, pull-up bar that you can hang from every day? Just hanging from the bar. Don't need to do pull-ups or chin-ups, although there's nothing the matter with doing pull-ups or chin-ups, but just hanging from the bar. Because a large amount of stuff that I see people doing is hanging. You might be hanging and swinging. You might be hanging and pulling. You might be hanging and carrying. But you're always hanging on something. So yeah, you mentioned before, it's going to be a lot of grip. So if you hang from a pull-up bar, if you could work up to a minute a day, you could probably already do that now. It's great for shoulder mobility. It's awesome for the grip. It's good for the back. And if you can get in some farmer's walk, if you got kettlebells, pick up 2 kettlebells or 2 dumbbells and start walking with them. Because you won't be able to train specifics. You know what I mean? How do you train, unless you have a log, how do you train for log carry? Except for what you're already doing. You know, you're getting in some extra squats. You've been doing burpees forever. How do you train for a cliff climb or the dunk wall? But you can train where those things will come in handy. You can train farmer's walk. You can train hanging from a bar. You can get in some pull-ups, some chin-ups. That's going to take you pretty far. You can do some balance work. Walk on a curb without falling off. Walk on a curb with your eyes closed without falling off. Anything that's going to help with balance. You can do some body weight stuff like bear crawls, lizard walks, stuff like that. Let me see if I can look up a clip for bear crawls. Let's see. Our friend Barb is here. Barb says, "Hi, Reaper." Says, "Hugs and blessings to your spiritual brother. Hugs and blessings to you, my spiritual sister." Our friend Oscar's here. Oscar had some good questions on one of my training videos. Much appreciated, Oscar. Yogi Mastermind, speak that beautiful mind. I'm working on it. I do my best. We're talking with the Burpee Reaper on the realization he's already a Spartan. It's just a matter of getting the medal. Give me 1 second, guys.
You could crawl it out like this, but
So try something. It's definitely a matter of training different angles. And then keep going over the website and looking at the technique. Go on YouTube and see, look up the event and look at the technique. How are these people doing these things? Because in the absence of being able to practice them, you want to know the technique. Because with your fitness level, with your strength and your endurance, that's going to take you all the way. But if you got a basic of, okay, there's a technique to this, and I reviewed this is how you do it. And it might take 1 or 2 tries before you nail it, but you'll definitely nail it because you're in such good shape. That's on how to do bird crawls, because I see they're doing some stuff, getting underneath. They're going under the barbed wires and stuff like that. And you know what? The fire jump. Here's what I know about the Burpee Reaper. He's already been through the fire. Burpee Reaper has been through the fire of 1,000 burpees several times. He's been through the fire of working hard all his life. He's been through the fire of all kinds of stuff. It's just another fire leap. Once you've been through the fire, no matter what it is, real fire doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything. Oscar says, Reaper Spartan. The medal is mine, no doubt. Barb says hi to Oscar. Reaper says, I appreciate the advice, Eric. Thank you. There's only one thanks that I need, and that is the thanks of watching Burpee Reaper show up on a shirtless Saturday and standing in front of the J and saying, oh, this old thing, this medal hanging around my neck, I didn't even notice that I still had it on. Pokemon says, hello, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. How are you? Reaper says, the fire jump. I can't wait. That's the real deal. Like I said, though, man, metaphorically, mentally, you've already jumped through the fire. When you were at 600 reps in a Holy Grail and realized you had 400 more to go, that was the fire, and you jumped through it. And here's the difference. When you jump through that fire at the race, it's one and done. You had to jump through the fire 400 more times to get to the finish line. We got some laughing emojis. I can't wait. I absolutely love the Jay Jordan, but I can't wait to see the look on his face. There's a new Spartan warrior in town, and his name is Lewis. Thank you, Barb. Extremely kind of you. Much appreciated, extremely kind. Man, Barb, I absolutely love you, my friend. I love the you are amazing as much as I love the super chat. Thank you. Reaper says, Barb for the win. Absolutely. I mentioned in the live stream earlier, man, I got the best people in the world showing up here. Barb, I enjoyed the videos, the shorts that you put out today. It was great seeing Lucy. It was great seeing your dog. Man, she was so excited to go for a walk with Wolf. So I'm hoping, it looks like there's a possibility that I might have a special guest live streaming with me this weekend. I might be going live with our good friend William Downey, and we're going to do a whole session talking about music. He's going to fill me in on why Van Halen deserves to be mentioned in the same name as the Beatles. Do they? I don't know. Don't know. I'm not sure we're going to see eye to eye on this. However, it's going to be fun talking about it. William's a good guy, and I love hanging out with good friends. Pokemon gives us a W. Barb says she's a handful, still a puppy. Yeah, I can tell that she's a handful. Reaper says, William, no. Reaper says, be ready, Eric, he's wild. No doubt. I'm up for the job. Remember, I'm 2 years older than William. So he might be bigger than me. He might be stronger than me. He might be smarter than me. He might be better looking than me. He might have more hair than me. Did I mention taller than me? He might make more money than me. He might have a better house than me. The list goes on. But I'm older. And that should count for something. Right? Should count for something? That's all I got going for me, guys. Actually, what I have going for me is that William is a good guy. And it's going to be a lot of fun talking to him. And once I figure it out with William, who knows? Maybe I'll have a Spartan conversation with the Burpee Reaper. Maybe I'll have a conversation with the Burpee Reaper. Top 10 reasons on why everyone should be a Raiders fan. Barb says, you are a great friend and have much knowledge. Thank you for that. Hey, you know what? On the earlier live stream, Barb, we were talking about how much we would love to see. I was talking about how much I would love to see Wolf do a live stream. It'd be a lot of fun just kicking back and hearing Wolf talk. Pokemon says being older and having more experience counts for a lot. Well, depends on the experience. Means I've had 2 more years of making mistakes. I actually just got off the phone with our other friend, William. I was talking to William Hart on his travels. He is in Illinois. He left the state of Kansas, and he is traveling. He is looking to heal, however he can do it. I'm not even sure he realizes he's looking to heal. But he will. Just got to remember the journey is the destination. We always think we need to get someplace, we need to get someplace, we need to get someplace. And we get there and we realize the same person I've ever been. Nothing's changed. Because you were hoping that being at a different location would bring a different result. It never does. However, if you realize that every step is the destination. St. Catherine of Siena said, all the way to heaven is heaven. Heaven isn't a destination we reach. It's a place that we realize each step, each moment, moment by moment by moment. This is why Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within. He didn't say if you drive from point A to point B, you'll get to heaven. That he didn't even say when you die, your spirit will leave your body. and you'll go to heaven. He said the kingdom of heaven is within, right here, right now. Which, coincidentally, is the same message from the Buddha. Different language, of course. Let's see. Oscar says, I'm sorry for ignorance. What is this Spartan thing Lewis is so excited about? What is it called for? Can I look it up? Not only. I hope this works. I'll drop the link for it. It's a race, and they have 5K, 10K. They have a 50K, and you do obstacles. So some of the obstacles are an atlas stone, big round stone. You got to pick it up and carry it. You got like monkey bars. You got a balance beam you got to go across. You got to crawl on a barbed wire. You got rock climbing events. You got a bucket carry, a heavy weighted bucket. You got to carry chains around your shoulders. Farmer's walk. And you got to jump through fire. I didn't mention this to Reaper. I didn't know how he was going to take it. There's also an interpretive dance event. I don't know if he's going to be ready for that, to be honest with you. Reaper, how is your interpretive dance skills? Because it seems to me that that is the biggest event. Doesn't matter how far you carry the stone. Doesn't matter if you jump through fire. Once you jump through fire, there's an interpretive dance event. And I believe either leotard or a tutu is required. And the winner of that particular event is called the Princess of the Spartan. The Princess of the Sparta. I'm not making this up. It's in the rules. You got to look hard for it. It's in the bylaws. You got to look really deep. William's here. William, I was just talking about you, my friend. Oscar says, I see. No wonder he is fired up. Exactly. I heard him say the only reason he's doing this is because he's leading the way for Leo and Oscar to follow later. You got to remember, Burpee Reaper, above all else, he's a leader. Do you really think that he's going to leave you guys behind? Once he gets that medal, do you don't think he's going to say, Leo, Oscar, you guys can do this. Jacob, man, you got to do it. You know he's going to carry you with him. Barb says, let's see. She drops a link. I'm going to open it up. I'll watch it after or read it. Circle of Healing. Monte Oba, isn't that a Canadian? Maybe I'm wrong. I'm going to read this. Barb, thank you. Thank you for dropping that link. Much appreciated. Let me read it, and then we'll definitely talk about it. Barb says hi to William. We get a salute from the Reaper. Barb says, very wisely, at one time or another, we are all leaders. At one time or another, the followers. Absolutely. Did not quite catching that, William? Oh, Barb says yes, but it's part of many tribes, like a coalition type of, like the Iroquois. The Iroquois were made up of the Seneca, the Mohawk. There were what, the 5 nations or the 6 nations? No read. Did not catch, no read. Barb said yes. Okay, understand. I think no, Barb says it's like the medicine wheel from different tribes. I'm looking forward to diving in on this. I'm going to bookmark it, so I'll have it. I very much appreciate you sharing that. This is going to be my Saturday reading. Our friend Joe Delaney is here. So, Reaper, I think one other thing that's going to be really important in the race, be patient with yourself. Because there's going to be things that you haven't tried. How can you? You don't have the equipment. Watch other people do it. And if you don't get it the first time, don't worry about it, because you're going to get it the second time or the third time, and then you're going to master it. So definitely don't get in your own head. So I'm over visiting Joe Delaney, and she is at 564 subscribers. 74 videos. Nicely done, Joe. Have you guys had the opportunity to hopefully subscribe to our friend Jill and hang out on her channel? Rupa says, thank you for that, Eric. I needed to hear that. Absolutely. I've been in that situation before. Also, one last thing. Trust your fitness. Trust that physically you have everything you need to get from point A, the beginning, to the finish line. Everything you need. Joe says, thank you, Yogi. You're welcome, my friend. What's new with you, Joe? Barb says, Yogi, I want a link in Facebook. It is about the medicine wheel and healing. Got it. Thank you, my friend. You've given me some good reading for the weekend. I appreciate that. Cameron's here. Cameron, how are you? Eric Lapointe is here. You know what, guys? I mentioned this afternoon. I had to step away from my live stream this afternoon. I left Eric Lapointe in charge. Came back, everything was the same. I realized every one of my books were rearranged. Every single book was rearranged. Am I saying Eric Lapointe did it? All I'm saying, I left him in charge. All the books are out of place, out of order. Again, I'm not pointing fingers. Just seems kind of obvious to me. Asia's here. Asia, how are you? Joe is school shopping for my son. Hey, what grade is your son going into? School starts Monday. It seems to start earlier and earlier every year, except in Maryland. Maryland, they actually did this whole thing back when, I forget his name, Larry Hogan was governor. School can't start because he did it for the Ocean City vendors, businesses. Schools can't start until after Labor Day. On a mission. Good luck to your son in this upcoming school year. I'm 100% sure it's going to be a success. You know why? Because he's got a wonderful mother. Asia said, I'm good. Oscar, thank you, Oscar. Says, damn it, the point. I knew something was amiss. Sabine is here. Sabine, my friend, how are you? Just stopping by to say goodnight to you all. Bless you all. Sending love to all my friends over the big pond. See you all tomorrow. I'm glad Sabine stopped in because it gives me the opportunity to ask a favor from you guys. We're all lending some hours to Optimob. Getting really, really close to getting those watch hours in. At least it's the first 3,000, right? And then we'll push onward to 4, but let's get to that 3,000 right now. So if anyone can go to their playlist just for a little bit of time on an extra device or have a window open. Jacob is here. Jacob's dropping some links. Thank you, Jacob. Camera says, sometimes I think people should have one option, because if people choose 2 options at the same time, it would not be possible. Don't you think? If they choose 2 options, they end up with none. Interesting. I guess it depends on where those options lead and where do you want to be. Are either one of those options taking you in the direction you wish to go? Also, who's the chooser? We never ask ourselves that all-important question. Who is it that's doing the choosing? And why are you choosing it? It's one of the things I talked with William about. Our own addiction to our way of thinking. And if you're addicted to something, do you really have a choice? A lot of people believe so. Most of the ones who believe that are ones who've never had an addiction before, that they're aware of, because they're addicted to their opinion. If you try to talk them out of it, they will defend it forever. No, of course they had a choice. You just put that drink down, you put that cigarette down, you put that pipe down, you do this, you do that. And when you say, well, my own case, through my own addiction, and they say, no, you just needed to be stronger. And you can argue and argue. You can argue from the point of experience to the point of an opinion. Who's right? The person who's experienced the addiction, or the person who has an opinion about the addiction and is literally addicted to their opinion that they can't see any other way? We have a young friend that comes in the room who's very, very addicted to their opinion. Mr. Poopinator is here. Says, fart for me, bro. You know what? I would, but what if I did? What would we have between us anymore? Right now, Poopinator, you and I have the hope that one day I will fart for you. And that keeps you showing up. But if I said, sure, I'll do it, what would we have between us anymore? Would you keep showing up? Would you keep coming here to have a conversation with me? Our relationship would be irrevocably changed. There'd be no going back, Mr. Poopinator. There'd be no going back between us. Asia says, how's your day been? My day's been really good. I got some short films of the white egret that's been hanging around my neighborhood, minus the snapping turtle. And I got one of a really nice looking buck, nice looking deer. Jacob says, legendary Burpee Reaper himself. How you doing, brother? Runner Boy's here. Runner Boy says, Yogi, what do you think about this anime quote? Work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. That is a turtle hermit way. That's pretty good. I don't work too hard. I work just enough. I do study. I do what I call the contemplative reading. I study a holy text before I go to bed each night. I don't eat too much. I don't eat plenty. I believe in a sort of a frugal. I eat enough. And I do try to get deep quality sleep. So for the most part, you could tweak it for each person, but I like it. Cameron says, for example, I choose option to watch your stream instead of sleeping. I can't choose both. That's true. Well, you could have it on while you sleep, but I see what you're saying. I guess if you wanted to think about it logically, which one would benefit you the most? I'm going to have to say it's sleep. Putting me aside. I love having you here, but I think sleep is definitely more important than listening to me talk. William says fear and maybe regret. What do you mean, William? We got some more links dropped. Reaper says, oops, sorry guys. Uh-oh. Poopinator says, nope, then you make it to the second stage. I did not know there was a second stage. That's a game changer. That's a huge game changer. Had I known that, man, I'd have been farting up a storm for Mr. Poopinator. We'd be on stage 6 already. Let's see, Camera says, I mean, just in general, like the jobs you can't choose, 2 jobs at the same time, or girls, or other things. Man, I certainly did try to, I definitely did try to choose 2 girls at the same time, and you're right about that. I ended up with none. Here's all I can say about that. This is what Carlos Castaneda said. This is what his mentor, the great Yaquoy medicine man, the shaman, Don Juan, told to Carlos Castaneda. When you are faced with a choice, when you are faced with a decision, ask yourself, does this path have heart? And if it does, you always take the path with heart. How do you know if the path has heart? Because you literally ask your heart, and you will feel an answer. You won't hear a voice. Maybe you will. Most people, it's an intuitive sense. Your heart will know. Heart is the intelligent center of the body. It's not the brain. It's the heart. Ask the heart, does this path have heart? And see what happens. Runner Boy says, if he could only choose to do one of these things, what would it be? Breathe in, breathe out. Well, they're linked, but I understand your question. I'm going to say breathe out because I'm feeding the trees. I'm giving back to the universe. I'm exhaling gratitude. I've spent a lifetime of breathing in. I've spent a lifetime of taking. I've spent a lifetime of receiving. If I had one option at this point in my life, it's to give. Oscar says, Jacob, thank you. Man, we all owe a big debt of gratitude for our friend Jacob, that's for sure. Reaper says, been at work, Oscar? I haven't checked the YouTube. Have you uploaded anything? Jacob says, let's get you to 50 subscribers so we can collab, do some burpees. That's a good point, Jacob. That's an excellent point. By any chance, is there anyone here who is not subscribed to Oscar? And if you're not, guys, what are you waiting for? Oscar needs 17 more subscribers. Let's say 18. It's always good to be one over that, just in case. And then he can live stream, and he can do some collabing with our friend Jacob and others. Jacob has even offered to collab with me. How kind is that? Jacob says, "Hey brother, Mr. Poopinator." Runner Boy has an excellent point. If you eat bad sushi, you can usually do two things at the same time later that night in the toilet. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Word to the wise, don't eat service station sushi, as delicious as it might look. William says, how does everyone deal with uncertainty? It's a good question. For me, embrace it. What is anyone ever certain about? And if they are certain about something, generally speaking, they're probably going to be wrong. And Zen, specifically Korean Zen, they want you to cultivate uncertainty. They call it the don't know mind. Get several Zen books by a Korean master. And actually one of them is called Don't Know Mind. If you're certain about something, again, you're almost guaranteed to be wrong. Entertain the uncertainty, because that gives you possibilities. That everything's wide open. You're living in a world of pure potentiality. If you're certain about something, you've narrowed it down to just what you think. And man, where has your thinking gotten you now? You know? Where has thinking gotten us as a society, as in the world? Eric the Point says, William, that's a tough one. Squirrel Sniper, hello, my friend. Sub 34 to Oscar. Squirrel Sniper has talked about uncertainty before too. Reaper says, Jacob, when all the smoke. Eric Point says, I say breathe in, save the oxygen for the mushroom. All right. This is an excellent point. This is why I subscribe to Eric LaPointe's newsletter. They get these opinions. Different way of thinking. And that brings us back to William's question with uncertainty. Had I been entirely certain in my answer, I never would have considered Eric LaPointe's answer, which is valid and very wise. Do we give enough consideration to the mushroom? If you've ever subscribed to the, I wonder if Squirrel Sniper has thought about this, the stoned ape theory. That it wasn't so much a gradual evolutionary leap or step in consciousness. It was early man, ape, ate some mushrooms, some magic mushrooms, some special mushrooms, and downloaded consciousness from a conscious universe, became aware. That's the stone ape theory. Corner Boy says, I'm never uncertain. I'm too dumb for that. Oh, I've seen you be uncertain with your training in a really good way. When you were talking about your deadlifts today, had you been certain about how you were doing it, you never would have considered, are my hips coming up too fast? Or you would have stuck with one way of doing your bench Runner Boy is one of the most thoughtful trainers. Very, very pinpointed. If he tries something, he's trying it for a reason. It's not haphazard. You won't see him say, I wonder. The only thing I've ever seen him do that is when he said, I can do 1,000 burpees. I can out burpee the burpee master reaper. But I'm not going to bring up that sore point. I'm not going to introduce a controversial subject into the mix. Oscar says, thank you, Squirrel. Sniper says, Eric LaPointe, they need nitrogen. They have done experiments in South America, changed the climate to what a vapor canopy would produce. The vegetables and fruits are 5 times larger. Wow. Let's see. Eric LaPointe says, I agree, Squirrel Sniper, but mushrooms breathe oxygen, and there is more trees, even humans. Than even humans? Hey, but aren't mushrooms a underground network, the fungi itself, and that the mushroom was just a flower? So does the mushroom itself need anything? Isn't it getting everything from the nutrients in the soil? And then when certain conditions are met, it'll offer up the flower, the spore, for it to spread. It could be off on that. Squirrel Sniper says, we were all shamanic at one point, and I try to keep that tradition alive within me. At least once a season or so, I try to do a drumming shamanic journey. Anytime I see a particular animal, I didn't do it this time. When I saw the egret and the snapping turtle, I should have done a shamanic journey. Why did that turtle pop up like that when it did? Squirrel Sniper says, oh, and mushrooms support trees. Yep, absolutely, says Eric LaPointe. Yep, what is it called? What's the network? Underground network. There's a term for it. World Wood Web. Hey, have you read Merlin Sheldrake's book on fungi and mushrooms? It's a fascinating book. Anyway, Squirrel Sniper says, Runner Boy, you ain't done, my friend? Nope, he certainly isn't. Runner Boy laughing out loud. I'll be doing 100 burpees on Sunday since I'm doing my squats a day earlier. I may as well push the next day before my run. Absolutely. Looking forward to seeing it. Mycelium. That's what's still in the apes, according to one theory. Eric Point says, Runner Boy, a well-planned workout. Camera says, I was just playing in a game with 2 girls, and one girl found out whom I was playing, and she's mad about it. I mean, I was just practicing different methods of talking to girls to apply in real life. Well, you learned a real-life lesson. A tough lesson. Always better to be upfront in everything relational, because then you don't have to worry about explaining. Your consciousness is free, open. You don't have to explain anything. Squirrel Sniper says it's symbiotic with all microorganisms. Duncan's here. Duncan, my friend, how are you? Hey, Duncan. Do you know anything about Spartan racing? And if you were training someone for a Spartan race, which is a 10K obstacle course, what would you do, especially in a short period of time? This is for Burpee Reaper. Duncan says, you may have answered this, but how is your progress for monetization? I am there, my friend. I am fully monetized. I am earning cents just for this conversation. By the end of this live stream, I might be 10, 11, 12 cents richer. Not to mention, I got an extremely generous super chat from our beautiful friend Barb. I'm ahead of the game. I'm truly blessed. Thanks for asking, Duncan. We get a Duncan from the Burpee Reaper. We get greetings from everyone. Eric Point says, the mushrooms give trees a network and water when it needs it, and also takes what it needs, but gives back just as much. Eric Lapointe, what do you know about the mother tree? Man, we're learning so much about trees, and probably not even tapping in on how much there is to learn. What a relationship with each other and with ourselves. We take so much for granted. I don't understand. They cut down some trees in my backyard because of appearance. Anytime you cut down a tree cosmetically, plant two in its place. Taking my little herbal supplement. William says, need like foundational support to live in a house or something to start so I don't miss something critical. You'll find something, William. Wherever you stop, if you're capable, go online and see what's available. We get a celebratory emoji from Duncan. Thank you, Duncan. Hey, thanks for, man, all through that, I guess it was a year or so of working to get monetizing, a little less. I seriously started thinking about it in January. So it got monetized in June, so it took me 6 months. Duncan, you gave me some excellent advice, and you showed up on the chats, which added to the watch hours. Much appreciated. Runner Boy says, did they not find out trees communicate to each other with a click noise we can't hear? I have heard that. Not the click noise, but they do that. They will also send out distress signals to each other. Amazing. Jacob drops the link for Eric Lapointe. Cameron says, should choose one option or be careful of my actions because I could avoid that. I would change the word careful of my actions to thoughtful, to mindful of my actions. If you're always mindful of the actions, then you're seeing ahead. You never know for certain how things are going to play out. But if you're mindful, you'll have an intuitive grasp that this is the better path to take. And you also have some flexibility. Here comes the trouble. Last time I didn't get this from Duncan, and I knew it was too good to be true. Duncan says, have you ever considered? My great hope is that he's talking to the Burpee Reaper. That's my hope. Maybe he's talking to Eric Lapointe. Eric Lapointe, have you ever considered? Let's see. Boy says, I heard of was a good moneymaker for YouTube. What do you mean? What is of or OF? Reaper says, this is exactly what I mean, Reaper. Here we go. Have you ever considered? Nothing good ever follows. Sportsman says, the dead or dying tree standing will release dormant fungi. If the tree is fallen, a completely different dormant fungus are activated due to moisture. Man, what an intelligent system. Do you think it's any different for a blade of grass than it is a tree? Do you think it's any different for a rock? If it's all part of consciousness itself, who's to say? We get away from just one Sue. Sue, how are you? What's the big plans for the weekend? Duncan says, you really should have a YouTube membership. People subscribe to pay a small monthly fee, and you provide exclusive video content. You know what? It's been mentioned before, and I have said all I want to do is give stuff away. And I would feel bad that I'm charging someone and I give it away for free somewhere else. Eric Lapointe had a interesting perspective that what I would be doing is providing it uninterrupted, that it wouldn't be provided in the context of a big conversation like we have here, which is a lot of fun, but you don't always get to pinpoint an exact theme to talk about. If I did it on a membership, it would be just that thing. This is what we're talking about. We are talking about meditation. We're talking about breath work. We're talking about yogic principles, yogic psychology, or maybe A Course in Miracles or something like that, which was an excellent point I hadn't considered. Sometimes, just goes to show, sometimes you need a Connecticut lumberjack on a Christmas tree farm to help you think outside the box. May everyone be blessed with a Connecticut Christmas tree farming lumberjack. So, yeah, I was given that option when I very first, and I thought, nope, I'm not going to do it. So let's see. Duncan said you could provide talks on whatever subjects you want. Yoga advice, yogic advice definitely should be your next move, in my opinion. Thank you, Duncan. It is under consideration. Cameron says people always regret about something. How to minimize these regrets, as especially that feeling. I mean, can partially understand because you said it's useful, because you can learn a lesson anyway. Learn a lesson always. You can always learn a lesson. But what is regret? Regret is fear that I made the wrong decision. It's just fear. So we don't always have to regret something. We can simply everything changes when you're aware. This is a conversation with William and I talking earlier. Just through the lens of awareness, everything begins to change. If you are aware that a regret is nothing more than a fear-based thought, it can disappear just by being aware of it. Nothing more. You just recognize it. Awareness is simply recognition. It's holding space for something to be. You're not trying to change it. You're not trying to say, I don't want to be regretful, or I feel regret and I'm going to change it. You just become aware of it, and let the magic of awareness change the course. Simple as that. That's the entire path of yoga. Being aware, becoming aware that you are aware. How often do we think about that? How often have you ever thought, I'm aware, not only am I aware that I'm aware. If you do that, you're enlightened. Just that thought. Entertain that thought. Runner Boy says, any path that does not end is a good path. Nicely said, Runner Boy. And sometimes you get the great option of turning around. It might seem like the same path, but is it? Is any path ever the same? If Every moment is a once upon moment, never happening this way again. It never did and it never will. No moment is ever the same. Even if it appears to be, it's never the same. So how can any path take you anywhere but right here? Eric Point says, this one point we disagree on about too much yogi. Tree produces way more seeds than needed, just in case bad time to, so excess is beneficial. I can see that. I need to ponder that some more. I need to Google it. I don't doubt you. I just need to wrap my head around it from a different angle. Well, is it really excess? If it might be needed, and if it's feeding animals, can it be considered excess? Or could it be considered just enough? Just enough to get the time, just enough to get the job done if there is an emergency. I guess I'm playing semantics. Sorry. Runner Boy says OF is OnlyFans. So you're suggesting I should have a OnlyFans? Well, I mean, technically, I'm already half naked on my burpee videos. And is there anything more suggestive than plopping yourself on the floor when you're half naked and jumping back up? That should be an OnlyFans site. If you want to watch, if you want to watch me half naked doing burpees, you got to join my OnlyFans site, as suggested by Runner Boy. Duncan says, you see, have you considered, can be considering good things? This is true. Actually, all of your have you considered, they're always good things. They are just painful by degrees. Some more painful than others. Not all of them, but some of them. I mean, I've taken your interval lessons to heart. And even if it might be shorter now, not a week goes by that I don't do at least one. I shoot for 2 interval sessions. So, hey, I take every have you considered to heart. Asia says, I like your earring. Thank you, my friend. I was talking about my earring the other day because someone came in and said that I'm too old for that and to get rid of it. Except, I got my ear pierced in 1981 and I've had an earring ever since. Different ones. So how can you be too old for something that you have? How can you be too old for anything when you think about it? Cameron says, I mean, if I was thoughtful, I wouldn't even download the game. It was just a spontaneous, therefore, another question, how to make more precise decisions and improve critical thinking. That's a good question. I'm not sure if I can help you with critical thinking. I am not known for my critical thought. Thoughtful does not exclude spontaneity. As a matter of fact, they can be the same thing. Every thought in its own is completely spontaneous. So you can have that spontaneity, but be mindful about it. It sounds like a paradox. It sounds like a contradiction. Maybe. Nothing the matter with the contradiction. Walt Whitman in Leaves of Grass says, do I contradict myself? So be it. Therefore, let me be a contradiction. But you're absolutely right. If you were mindful about it, you never would have downloaded the game. I think the key always comes to being mindful and then see what happens. And then when something spontaneous happens, you can be mindful about that. Just because something spontaneous occurs doesn't mean it has to stay. It can just as easily spontaneously disappear. Eric Point says, also, cycles, there was a world before fungus. I refuse to entertain the thought of a world before fungi. But actually, I guess they didn't exist. Fungus didn't exist in dinosaur time, did they? Duncan says, video coverage is a more intimate medium than simply text. To ask people to support you in the service you provide is perfectly fine. Thank you for that, Duncan. You and Eric Lapointe have really made excellent points in the same, differently, but in the same vein. Mocha and Destiny Forever Walks have said similarly. Destiny was thinking merchandise. And I'm thinking, man, I don't know. He would want a just a Yogi doing burpees in his basement coffee mug. Frisbee. T-shirt. Trucker's cap. We got a thumbs up from Eric Lapointe to Asia. Duncan says, if you want to turn YouTube into a viable source of money, things like this will likely be necessary. You will also be helping people during that process. Another great consideration. You know what? I'm going to spend some time this weekend looking at it because it is up and available on my page. And I looked at it and completely dismissed it right at the very beginning. But now it's time to actually really, to at least press the buttons and see what I can do. So, yep, you and Eric and Mocha and Destiny have definitely helped me. And I'm now leaning in that direction. Cameron says, but sometimes I rely on luck. I should not do that. Is that what you mean? Just play chess in real life? Nothing matter with relying on luck. I firmly believe that luck is not just luck. That we sort of make luck. Being in the right place at the right time. And we do that by spontaneity and by mindfulness. Sort of weaving them together. Moment by moment. Being mindful. What are we doing right now? Is this... It's not... I'm not saying logically going from point A to point B saying, is this right? Is this right? Is this right? Trust your instincts. Don't stay in your mind. Don't overthink and overanalyze. Don't be overcritical in your thinking. Feel your way through life. Intuit your way through life. Open up your heart center. The heart is the true intelligence of the entire system of our being. Open up to that and let your heart guide you. That doesn't mean that you don't use thought, but you're not relying exclusively on thought. Now you're a full capacity human being. You use critical thinking when you need it, but rely on the heart to guide you in the right direction. Just keep opening up to life, opening up to life, opening up to life, and letting your heart guide you and see what happens. The heart will bring you to the right place at the right time, and that's luck. Luck is simply being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And that's just listening to your heart. Laradox says, thanks, what did I miss? Oh, sorry, I didn't see Laradox. Laradox says, Asia, I'm going to subscribe to your channel. I didn't see you come in. Asia says, a head tattoo would look good. Like Bam Bam Bigelow. You guys remember him? I'm not sure I could do a head tattoo, but thank you. I have a small tattoo on the back of my neck. It is the elf which is the first letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and it signifies infinite reality. All points of the infinite starts on the back of my neck. Not very many people realize that. But now the secret's out. Laradox says, the greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. What do you mean, Laradox? Jacob says, thank you for having me on your live stream once again. Brother Mr. Yogi, heading out. Much love and respect. Big salute. Big salute to you, my friend. Jacob says, have a good night, everyone. Thank you, Jacob. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to dive back in. Man, I've gotten some excellent advice from our friend Duncan, as usual, as well. Man, we got to talk about trees and mushrooms. Can you have a better conversation than that? And earrings and head tattoos. It doesn't get any better than that. We got our friend Cameron, always asking insightful questions. Reaper says, Duncan, Spartan event coming up. 25 obstacles, 10K run, mud climbing, pooling. Any advice? Duncan's definitely going to have some insights for that, I bet. It's coming up on the 24th. So if you're going to train someone for a 25 event obstacle course over 10K in a short period of time, someone who's already in excellent shape, fit, strong, all the endurance that he's ever going to need, what would you do? Jacob drops the link for Laradox. Thank you, Jacob. Asia says, how are you? It's almost 16. Reaper says, Laradox is a fresh one. Laradox says, Yogi, I have something I'm guilty about, and it's not the Optimum thing. Well, we already knew you were a minor. Laradox says, awesome earring, Yogi. Thank you. Laradox says, instead of worrying about what other people think of you, how about instead be the you of your life? Jesus will help you through. Okay, I could agree with all of that. Laradox says, Jesus helped Yogi greatly by providing him with wisdom and leadership and kindness to the level of infinite. Very kind words, Laradox. So we already knew that you were 15, so why feel guilty about being a minor? Reaper says he used to work for a guy named Jesus. Milka said Milka served with a guy in the Air Force. Jesus. Theodox says, no, I wasn't saying I was guilty about being a minor. So what are you guilty about? All right, the point says, the harder I work, the more lucky I get. Absolutely. Similarly, for me, honestly, the more I meditate, and this is after 30 plus years of meditating, the luckier I get. It's actually pretty amazing when I think about it. How every moment I felt like I've been led and guided and held, embraced through every moment. And of course, there's been times when I would swear I was completely alone. Only in retrospect did I see that I was being guided even then. That's the thing, we were talking about certainty. And as I mentioned, times when I was absolutely certain I was alone in the world. And yet, in retrospect, that certainty proved to be absolutely nothing but a fallacy, an illusion. Queen Caitlin is here. Hello, my friend. How are you? Appreciate you stopping back. Asia says, favorite movie genre? What a great question. I'm going to say sort of off-kiltered comedy. Not so much black comedy as weird. Like one of my all-time favorite movies, um, The Big Lebowski. Maybe the greatest movie ever made. Most definitely the greatest bowling movie ever made. And that's saying something because Kingpin is a really good bowling movie. But Kingpin is the best Amish bowling movie ever made. So there's categories and then there's sub categories. Groundhog Day, comedies that have ultimately might have some sort of meaning to them. Therodox says, Yogi, I don't really know what else to say other than you've been a great friend. I don't know. The movie Blow. Not sure I know that. Therodox says, I don't know what to do with my life. I'm going to agree with Reaper. You're too young to care about that. Relax and be Therodox. Therodox says, Yogi, the three worst things are hate, racism, and the devil. If Leo was here, you know what Leo would say? Do burpees. Asia says, I'm more into 90s, early 2000s thriller. Hey, you can't go wrong with that. As a kid, I used to love westerns. Put me in front of a John Wayne western, and I was one happy kid. Any western. Couldn't get enough of them. I read paperback westerns, Zane Grey, Louis L'Amour. So what's the confession? That you don't know what to do with your life? Therodox says John Wayne is the best. I do like John Wayne. I watched a clip of him today on Facebook in Big Jake, a movie that I actually saw in a drive-in theater with my parents. I think it came out in '69. I was 4 years old. I have very, very vague memories of it, except for the happiness of being in a car, watching the movie, and being with my parents. Reaper says, don't worry about the devil, he ain't about it. The movie about him dying was sad. He died in, well, of course he died in the Alamo, because everyone died in the Alamo. He died in the Cowboys. He was shot. Bruce Dern. And he died in his last movie, The Shootist, as he was literally dying of cancer. It just said, have you seen The Hateful Eight? I haven't seen that, but I wanted to. I thought it looked pretty good. William says, I got a little rest at a rest stop. Hey, don't push yourself too hard today, William. Don't keep driving until you're exhausted. Merodach says, I know, but the main movie? I think you're thinking about the Shoot Us, right? Leaving the World Behind. Don't know that one either. Boy says, was trying to understand establishing housing. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. Asia said you should see that and the Magnificent Seven. I've seen the original Magnificent Seven. I've even seen clips of the original, The Seven Samurais. And I've watched the remake, not the whole thing, but in clips on YouTube. Laradoc says, I've watched literally every John Wayne movie. I'm sure I've seen all of his Westerns. I skipped a lot of the war movies. Just wasn't interested. I watch the Westerns because I like Westerns. Next point says, the devil comes around when you're doing well. Interesting saying. And I heard that he plays a gold fiddle. And if you're up for it, you can challenge him to a fiddling match. Me, I've never had the courage. Thirdock says, you can't forget the funniest movie of all time, Napoleon Dynamite. Man, you're on the money with that. That was a funny movie. The dance scene alone was worth it. You gotta love the Rocky movies too. Except, as we've talked about before, possibly Rocky IV. William says, only thing I know is applying through apartment websites. What about just getting a room? You know, like boarding. If you look through paper or online for someone who's offering a room for rent. Reaper says he's always around me, the point. I think he's scared. I think the devil is literally scared of the Burpee Reaper. Wants nothing to do with him. Watching him from a distance and like shaking his head saying, nope, not going to do it. Not going to approach that guy. Leaves when he does burpees. Reaper salutes William. Asia says, have you seen the 1960 Magnificent Seven? I have, several times. Dual Gibbons, Steve McQueen, Charles Bronson. Man, how do you beat that cast? As a matter of fact, it's almost a shame to do a remake because as good as those guys are, they are not Steve McQueen. They're not Yul Brynner. They're not Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson is from Western Pennsylvania. Dardock says, Yogi is so nice, he's willing to play with the devil himself. I have no interest whatsoever in the devil. Not even as a concept. Maybe as a metaphor. Not even an issue in my life. We got a Yo Adrian. He forgot the Yo. Dardox. He watched every Rocky. I love the Rockies. I believe I saw all of them in a movie theater. Yes, even Rocky IV. We got a salute to Reaper. I think he got it right, Laradox. William says I can go Chicago, Detroit, Ohio. Which way are you leaning towards? Where are you leaning towards? Therodox is going to swim in his lake. Awesome. We're going to wrap up the live in just a couple minutes, actually. Therodox says, I love Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen was pretty cool. He was almost Paul Newman cool. So to hate the devil is to give in to the devil. Wouldn't you say? Asia says, great movie. What about Cool Hand Luke? Is there any movie better than Cool Hand Luke? Except maybe Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Or Slapstick. Maybe the greatest hockey movie ever made. Yes, I know I'm treading on sacred ground when I say that, because someone's going to throw in, whoa, wait a minute, what about the Mighty Ducks? What about the Mighty Ducks 2? What about the Mighty Ducks 3? What about the Mighty Ducks 4? I stand by my statement. Slapshot, Paul Newman. Therodox meant yo. Yeah, I threw the yo in because I knew you meant it. Steve liked motorcycles. He did. Did he make a documentary? He also trained with Bruce Lee. Reaper says he was reading The Point. The Blob, you know who played the Blob, the original? James Arness, who was Marshal Matt Dillon, Gunsmoke. Still, I believe, the longest running TV show, hour-long TV show. 25 years. Room says, I have no direction. My phone is starting to overheat, and I don't have AC. Was not expecting to leave a day early. Yeah, you mentioned that. Can you find a nice, cool place to hang out? Can you find a Starbucks? There's Starbucks everywhere. Just a place that you can hang out for a while. Cool everything off. Think some things through. Therodox says, Yogi, I watched the Steve documentary yesterday. That's so funny. Eric Point says, yes, he's always around when you are doing well because he's always wants something. So if the devil comes around you, you know you're about to be successful, and you don't need him, in my opinion. Interesting. Now, in yogic and Buddhist psychology, as well as Christian mysticism, Course in Miracles as well, the devil is simply the voice of the ego, always saying me, 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 mine, 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 I. Always. And anytime we have a me-centered life, anytime we have a life that is centered solely on me, then we are living the life of the devil. This is why through every religion, the path of salvation is service to other people. And through service to other people, we become God realized, because God is found in others. I think it was Pascal, the philosopher Pascal, who said, hell is other people. What a pessimistic attitude. But he's not wrong. Because at the same time, heaven is other people as well. Because our own self-realization depends upon realizing it through the reflection of other people. Sue says, I still prefer the old black and white movies with an exception to a few here and there. You can't go wrong with so many of the classics. Anything with Jimmy Stewart, I'm going to watch. Anything with Henry Fonda, I'm going to watch. Robert Mitchum. We have no Jimmy Stewarts in our life anymore, sadly. Truly one of the greats. I mentioned before how influential the movie Harvey was for me. Here's a question you might have an opinion on, you might have a thought, you might have an answer. Has any one person been beaten up by great actors more often than Ernest Borgnine? Think about that. Don't have to answer me tonight, but let me know. I should Google that because I've seen him get beaten up by a whole lot of people in movies. Runner Boy says, I'm out on a midnight walk. Nice. Therodax says, Starbucks is overrated and expensive, but hey, they're making money and I don't see anything wrong in that, especially if the customers like the coffee. It's probably true. But our friend William is on the road, and any place to cool down, get something cool to drink, enjoy the air conditioning is a good place. And since Starbucks is so available, but same with McDonald's. What a twist of fate. Yep, coincidence, synchronicity. Aerodax says, awesome runner boy. Be safe, says Sue. Hey, Sue, are you going to get out on the river at all this weekend? Any river walks? Asia says, peace out, guys. Hey, Asia, I appreciate you coming by and hanging out and the conversation, my friend. Reaper says, runner boy, don't forget your strap. Rob says, I can try spot. Almost 7. Most places close soon. You should be able to find, like some McDonald's on the road, they're going to be open 24/7. Runner Boy says, Reaper, I can only equip a rock in Ireland. Make sure you have that rock in a holster, though. Reaper says, try McDonald's. Exactly. There'll almost always be a McDonald's open, and you can nurse a cup of coffee or soda or whatever. Runner Boy says, Arrow's so much better at night. I agree. A library. Libraries are always good. But they might be closing early. Reaper says, sometimes William, actually all the time, a gym William. Hey, good advice. You get a day pass for Lifetime Fitness. Smart thinking. Sue says, it depends on weather and how I feel. I did post some river videos a couple of days ago. Looked at from Negley Park. Yeah, I saw those. I believe I left a comment. I tried to leave a comment on all of them. Runner Boy says, all shops shut at 10. Very few stay open to 12 here. Man, we always have something open here. Even in Sullivan County, the county that I lived in for a while, where my dad was born, where it's just, there's no one there. They even have a 24/7 little, it's actually called the Sump and Pump. Sue says, for some reason I have to go into YouTube Studio to see some comments. Huh. Wonder what's up with that. All right, guys. I think I'm going to wrap things up for the night. Appreciate you hanging out with me. It's a fun conversation. So, Reaper, definitely get some bar hanging in. Runner Boy does bar hangs too. He can definitely recommend them. Sue says, I posted a video of a dove that came to the porch. That one I haven't seen, so I will definitely check that one out. Absolutely love doves. Eric Point says, another great live. Thank you, Eric. Thank you for help making it great. I'll be back. I'll be back tomorrow doing the same thing, but spontaneously so. And we got another yoga squirrel. I'm looking forward to that one. I find myself very much drawn to Just One Sue's yoga squirrel. If you guys haven't seen it, go check it out on her page. YouTube short, several of them. And it is a yoga squirrel. Gets itself into some predicaments, that is for sure. Thank you, Sue. Be safe as well, my friend. Eric, thank you. Runner Boy, our new friend, Asia, very much appreciated. I did say Larynx, right? Jacob was here. Oscar was here. William, keep me posted. Above all, above everything, be safe. Oop, I had missed a comment from Asia about Supernatural. The great Duncan Walsh was in the house. Scroll Sniper was here, and our dear friend Barb. Joe Delaney stopped by and said hi. Cameron was here, always insightful questions. Very much appreciate all of you guys. And I was saving it for last, the Burpee Reaper, because make sure you hang from the bar. Start relatively easy, see how it feels. But yeah, that grip endurance is going to be key. The good thing with a grip, you can develop it pretty quickly. So plenty of time. Destiny says, hello, just a Yogi. Just stopped by to say hello and enjoy your weekend. Blessings to you. Blessings to you, my friend, and I really appreciate you stopping by. And just in time, because we were saying goodnight, I had mentioned you several times during this comment or during this conversation. Because you know what? I can't have a good conversation. I can't have a loving conversation. I can't have a conversation about the important things, meaningful things on Facebook without mentioning my good friend, Destiny Forever Walks, PhD. Destiny, you've been in my thoughts and you've been in my prayers. Sending you absolute love, my friend. Absolute love. So thank you. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow. Everyone have a good night. Take care. Be safe, as Sue said.